This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the fucking customers.
Were you always this stupid, or did you take lessons?
Just calm down.
Oh, fuck you!
You can't handle the truth.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
In other words, be nice, asshole. All right, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, welcome to another episode of qasincucumber, the podcast where we point and laugh at stupid companies, customers, and coworkers alike. I'm Lara Mack.
I'm Jessica James.
So I have Miss Jessica Maca with me.
Yes.
Tanya is still off on her new adventure, which I will let her talk about. Okay, so there's just a couple of things. I had a couple of funny stories from you guys that we've been saving while we were doing all the Theranos stuff. Just a quick update on that. Her sentencing isn't until, I think, September, which I get, and I think I understand why, because at that point, her child will be over a year old, and at that point, the bonding that you want to happen has happened, breastfeeding, etc., etc. Like, I have a feeling they might feel more comfortable sending her to jail after all that's done, so that it's not an excuse.
Okay.
Maybe. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. That just kind of seems like a lot of privilege that 99% of the world wouldn't receive.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, yeah.
1,000,000% agree.
Right? Oh, you fucked all this shit up, but you're a new mom, so let's give you a grace period before you go serve some time. Like, that doesn't happen to normal, everyday people.
Yeah. Do you think that would happen to you or me? Do you think that would happen to a black woman?
No.
Do you think that would happen to a Hispanic woman?
Absolutely not. They'd just be like,
No.
fuck you, we don't care. The kid can go foster care.
We don't give a shit.
Right.
Whatever.
I mean, I realize that she's married. She is married, right?
There's conflicting information on that.
Okay.
Some people say they're married, some people say they aren't. But she has a rich baby daddy. And
Right. Okay,
yeah.
so see, it's not like the child would go without.
No.
I mean, that's
of course
certainly is nice for her, but
Yeah.
whatever.
It'll really piss me off if they delayed it that long and then she gets like house arrest, which I could totally see.
Yeah.
Blah. So before we get into these couple of listener emails, there's a couple of deep dives and topics that you, me, and Tanya are going to do together.
Yes.
Which I am unbelievably excited about.
Okay.
And two, that I actually recorded one video on yesterday that I think will be my first YouTube video if I could figure out editing. Fingers crossed.
I keep thinking that, at this point that you, me, and Tanya should really do like some live YouTube videos so that we could have interaction with people and everything
It's just
else.
a matter of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I recorded one, but I also have another one that I want to do. But let's talk about the deep dive that we're going to do, this little preview. And usually we don't do this, but honestly, I do feel like this story is so crazy that part of me is like, yeah, some people might listen to it and think, okay, this is the deep dive where I can hear about it for the first time.
Okay.
But other people, I feel like, will be like, oh, I want to hear about this, and then I want to hear somebody scream about it so I can feel comforted.
All right. So am I going to be aware of this?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to know what story we're about to talk about. I'm going to be familiar with it.
No,
okay.
I'm going to tell you about it right now.
Well, I was just curious if it was something I would have already heard about.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. So it's wild the way it kind of worked out a little bit, because a few days after the Elizabeth Holmes verdict, one of our listeners, one of our OG super fans, like Butta for Buddha, love you. Shout out for Butta for Buddha.
I love that.
Love
That's
it,
awesome.
love it. Since the beginning of the show, they've been a super fan. Love them to death. Don't know if it's a guy or a girl. Don't really care. But if a Buddha, good job. Thank you. They sent me this article. I believe it was a New York Times article. And the title of it was Worse Than Theranos.
Okay.
So I read through the article and was just jaw on the floor. Couldn't believe it. And I told Tanya, we were going to get together to record. And I said, it's not really going to be a deep dive. It's just, we're going to talk about this article. But then Tanya couldn't get together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I wonder if there's more, because this article was detailed, but I was like, I wonder if there's more like sources out there, etc. I happened to Google it, and 2 days before that, my Googling it, a book came out about it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's on.
You and your
downloaded
books.
the book. Me and my books. If there's a book, we'll do a deep dive. I swear to God. So the book, it is called The Hard Sell by Evan Hughes. The Hard Sell, Crime and Punishment at an Opioid Startup. That's the name of the book.
Yum.
Blew my brain. Unlike Elizabeth Holmes, and this is why the article was titled Worse Than Theranos.
Yeah.
And I absolutely get it, because I was obsessed with Theranos. As a show, we were obsessed with Theranos. But this story, way worse. Because with Theranos, we think people died. With this story, a lot of fucking people died.
Oh.
A lot of people died.
That's too bad.
And it is horrifying.
Yeah.
It is horrifying. It is about, it's this company called Insys, right?
Okay.
And what Insys did was they developed what's called a sublingual spray, an under-the-tongue spray.
Okay.
That was supposed to treat breakthrough cancer pain, right?
Okay.
So this is something I really want to ask Tanya about, because she's never mentioned it, but I have a feeling they probably talked to her about it.
Sure.
It's basically pain that will spike.
Yeah.
So when you're going through treatment, cancer, etc., that will spike so bad that any sort of like painkillers that are trying to keep the pain at a manageable level,
right,
it will break through that threshold and cause like intense, unbearable pain.
Gotcha.
So what this was supposed to do, it's an under the tongue fentanyl spray.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, y'all should see Jessica's face.
Well, as soon as you pull that fin sound out of your mouth, I'm like,
Yeah, fentanyl, the big,
Yeah.
been everywhere in the news.
I dislike fentanyl immensely. Okay, go ahead.
But fentanyl under the tongue, and it was supposed to treat that pain. And this company, we'll get into the details when we do the deep dive, they went to every pill mill known to man, and they were like, you could treat this for like minor backaches, and got people seriously hooked and quite frankly killed on it, just left and right. Horror stories.
Like dying from side effects, dying from people trying to like steal it from them, like
overdosing, people completely losing touch with reality. One lady talked about how she was so completely out of it that on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can't remember, she just didn't know where she was or what was happening, and she got into a car and just drove off and left her husband and kids and had no idea where she was going or what she was doing, and when she woke up, she didn't even know where she was or how she got there.
Wow. So it's like legal PCP.
Kinda, yeah. And the stories of how it was sold, how it was developed, it's the company breaking the law, like the way that it's been extremely eye-opening when it comes to doctors and how they prescribe and what's legal and what's not and why doctors push certain medicines, except it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating story. So we're going to talk about that. If anybody wants to read the book and then hear me flip the fuck out about it, that's pretty much what we're going to do.
You could host a read-along, Laura.
I know, right? Let me go stand in front of Barnes & Noble and read it out loud and be like, ma'am, can you leave? Like, no, people need to know this story. So that's one. The video that I want to record, have you seen, I know it's been, there was I can't remember what streaming service it was, but they did a series on it, and it was all over the news. This Dr. Death guy in Texas.
I remember hearing about it, but I haven't watched it, no.
I watched the documentary on it. I think it's like 4 episodes, maybe. I was halfway through the first episode, and I was like, how does this story go on for 3 more episodes? Why is this person not being stopped? Seems pretty obvious at the time. I really just, the whole just jaw on the floor story. Unbelievable.
What's the actual doctor's name?
Dr. Dunch.
Dunch. Okay, so it's not the same one back from the God. What was it like when we were kids? There was
Dr. Kevorkian.
Yes, Dr. Kevorkian. Thank you.
Oh, that was a whole...
Right, because he was, I mean, that was, is it the same, like, kind of thing?
Purposefully killing. No.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Kevorkian was helping end people's lives knowingly. He wasn't murdering them.
Right, yeah. This is, okay, he's doing it without.
This is a serial killer in the operating room.
Okay. All right, so not Dr. Kevorkian style at all. Okay.
No. This was wild to me. This should tell you what you need to know.
Okay.
He was a neurosurgeon.
Ooh,
and he went in to put screws, basically, to remove some disc or something in somebody's back and put some screws in, right?
Okay.
He did the job so badly that they sent this woman back in to get it fixed with another surgeon.
Okay.
This other surgeon was so freaked out just looking at the x-rays of what had been done, just the x-rays, that he filmed the surgery, his surgery, because he didn't think that any other surgeon would believe him.
Right.
That it was as bad as it was, number one. Number two, he was so convinced during the surgery that not only was this guy not a surgeon, that he wasn't even a doctor.
Wow.
He was convinced. He was so convinced that he took this man's picture and sent it to the man that trained him back in Tennessee and was like, "Is this the guy you trained?" Because he didn't believe that this man was even a doctor at all.
Gotcha.
He was that convinced that he just went in there cutting up for fun. And it was him. But wow. I kept running out to George, like, "You are not gonna fucking believe this." But it kept going because basically money. Surgeons can bring in X amount of dollars.
Right.
And because malpractice suits are capped at a certain point.
Really?
Right? In Texas, $250,000. A surgeon brings in $3 million a year. And a malpractice case, and that $250,000 is a cap. You might get away with giving them $50,000 or $20,000 or whatever.
Right.
It's more cost beneficial to settle the lawsuits just keep that person operating. Right. Yeah, he might botch one or two here and there, but the cost benefit analysis is, well, we make more money.
Right. My God.
Basically, it was horrifying. Horrifying.
So it would seem like in those kinds of situations, because it's not like a surgeon is ever in an operating room by himself.
No.
Like, there's a team of people in there.
Oh, yeah. They were in there.
You would think in this situation, people would notice things and be like...
They did.
"What the fuck are you doing?" Well, they did.
And they did.
And they just couldn't do anything about it?
Yep.
Oh, God,
they had this
horrible.
one OR nurse who was just like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
And just like losing their goddamn minds and trying to tell him, "No, you're putting the screw in the wrong direction, and no, you got to move it to the left, and no, you got to put it here, and no, you're hitting the wrong spot." And they were trying desperately to walk him through how to do things.
Oh, God.
And wouldn't listen. And surgeons are captains of the ship. They're ultimately in charge.
Yeah.
The way that one person in the documentary put it was, they said that the OR staff in one of the surgeries that was particularly awful is haunted by what happened. They are traumatized. And you could kind of see it in, like, it's because they interview a bunch of them. You can see it in their faces. They were just like, just still to this day in just total disbelief. And they are haunted completely. Like a PTSD kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Because they just couldn't believe it.
I might see if I can watch those this week since the kids are out of school.
I'm telling you, it's on, I believe it's Peacock. It's called Dr. Death, the Undoctored Story. Wow. unbelievable, to the point where this was the OR nurse. This is the point that I was like, okay, finally somebody was like, okay, I have this authority. I can say no to this. Okay. At one point, one of his patients, he was operating on one patient while another patient was dying post-op from complications, right? And the one who was dying was basically having a stroke.
Okay.
And the hospital that he was at this point, he had been kicked out of one hospital, the more prestigious hospital.
Yeah.
They had already let him go. And he was at this lower quality hospital that didn't have the facilities and the tools and the resources to do super complicated surgeries, right? Mm-hmm. Hang on to your hats. You're going to shit yourself when I tell you this. This motherfucker comes out of the one surgery that he's fucking up, going back to the first surgery that he's fucking up, realizing that she's having a stroke, and he says to the OR nurse, oh, we'll just do a craniotomy. And the OR nurse is like, we don't have the equipment or anything to make a craniotomy safe at this hospital. And he was like, well, yeah, don't worry about it. I can do it. And he was like, sir, if you hit brain matter, she's dead.
Right.
We're not just cutting into this woman's skull because you think it's cool. What?
Right.
We need to transport her to another facility.
Right.
And he was like, well, get your fucking supervisor in here. And the OR nurse was like, gladly. And he went and got the head of the hospital. And the head of the hospital came in and was like, no, we're not cutting into this woman's brain. We are moving her. Right. And this guy's ego couldn't take it. He let her sit for hours before he would sign off on releasing her, just for his ego. And she died. He killed her.
That's ridiculous.
He killed her.
Wow.
And believe that is not even close. Not even fucking close.
And they couldn't just be like, fuck you, we're moving her? Without him signing off on it, knowing the situation?
Let her sit there for hours. Blows your mind.
Yeah, a little bit.
Blows your mind. And of course, later he's like, well, if they had just let me operate on her. I'm like, yeah, if they just let you cut into her head.
And kill her anyways.
Unbelievable. But the video that I did, hopefully I will get that out soon. I'm hoping editing won't be too hard. It's kind of long. But the video that I recorded, it was really interesting. It was about this YouTube, or not YouTube, it was a Netflix documentary that I believe just dropped on Friday. Mm-hmm. Wow. Because what I've been doing is, since Tanya's been busy, I've been recording what I've been calling Money and Murder with Lara Mack.
Okay. And
just me telling the story.
Okay.
Do you remember back in 2018, late 2018, early 2019, the big news everybody was losing their shit over was 2 plane crashes of the Boeing Max 737 Max airplane. Everybody was freaking out. This is a brand new airplane that they had to ground.
I vaguely remember. It seems vaguely that I remember something about it, yeah.
One of the reasons for us, I remember it in more detail, was the fact that my mother-in-law is a traveler.
Yeah.
And we were freaking out like, is she going to get on one of these fucking planes?
Yeah.
The documentary is called Downfall, the Case Against Boeing. They murdered almost 350 people. I'm sorry, it was. They put a new feature on the plane that killed these people. They didn't tell the pilots about it. They didn't tell the FAA about it. They didn't train anybody on it. And after the first crash, they knew that's what was the cause. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. And 5 months later, another plane dropped out of the sky. And they killed them. And nobody went to jail.
Of course not.
I call that corporate homicide.
Sure.
I really do. Whether you want to call it corporate murder, corporate manslaughter, it's corporate homicide. And they wrote a check to get out of trouble.
Oh.
And I call that money and murder. Yeah. So I recorded a video on it yesterday about shit myself watching it. I really do feel like something's got to change when it comes to, just like that Dr. Death thing.
Yeah.
They're doing this analysis of, well, we make more money than it costs to settle fuck-ups.
Right.
So we'll build the fuck-up money into the budget.
Right.
We'll have a fuck-up budget. and we'll just write a check and get out of trouble, but we'll still come out ahead.
Right.
And as long as that's the calculus, does it really matter? I mean, we talked about the Purdue Pharma people, the OxyContin people.
Yeah.
The fine that they ended up paying was 1 year's worth of revenue on OxyContin. So what?
Right, yeah. So what?
So what?
They're not going to care about that.
No, of course not. You know, they need to go to space. There are billionaires that need to go to space. Okay, I still don't understand the space thing, but whatever.
I don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what's coming. But we do have a couple of listener emails, our awesome listeners. So this is from Cutie Patootie. And I'm going to assume Cutie Patootie is a woman. I
feel like that's a safe assumption.
It's a safe bet. Cutie Patootie says that she's working one day and a customer comes up to the customer service counter and says, I was overcharged for this item. It's supposed to be on sale. And I say, well, actually, only the store brand was on sale. This brand isn't the store brand, so it's not on sale.
Right.
And the customer says, but the tag on it says it costs X amount. And I say, but this brand isn't on sale. She argues with me, so I end up calling a manager over. She argues with them too, and the customer just is like yelling, just give me the price I want. And the manager says, look, I can return the item for you and give you the store brand, which is on sale.
Right.
Like, which, kudos to manager. Like, I'm not going to keep focusing on what I can't do. Let me focus on what I can.
Right.
That's something we used to coach all the time to agents. So good job on the manager. And the customer says, but the tag says the sale price. And the manager says, well, the tag is wrong. This brand isn't on sale. And this is the killer. The customer finally says, well, I switched the tag. I only buy the best, and I wanted this one for the sales price. End of the story. She didn't get the sale price.
Oh my God, what a dumbass.
That to me is somebody that I want to see charged with a crime and then have them testify for themselves.
Right?
Obviously, that's the person. You used to watch those old crime shows where all of a sudden you would catch them in a lie and they'd be like, yes, I did it. And you'd think, no idiot would do that. That idiot would do it.
Right, yeah.
That's the person you want to commit a crime because you'll catch them.
Yep. God.
Thank you, Cutie Patootie. That one made me... Well, I switched the tag. Fucking idiot.
And see, here I was sitting here thinking, okay, well, if the tag is wrong on the product, then side with the customer, you know, blah, 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 whatever. But then you had to go fuck it up and tell the truth.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All right, this is from Jesse Spanko, which I think is a play on Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell, I think.
Maybe.
Not quite sure. And Jesse says, my company has an insanely generous return policy. No time limit on returns, no receipts necessary. You can return an item for any reason. I get that most customers don't expect returns to be so easy, and I often deal with bewildered customers who were geared up to fight with a rep about returning something excuse me. But this one was special. I answer the phone. Hello, my name is Jesse. The caller says loudly and aggressively, someone messed up my order. I don't know who it was over there, but you need to look at it and fix it. And I say, yes, certainly. What's the order information? They give it to me. The customer points out what's wrong. I did not order this. How dare you? I asked somebody about this over and over. It's on a recorded line. I ultimately decided not to go with it, but you sent it anyway, blah, blah, blah. And they just go on and on and on and on and on. And finally, I say, absolutely, I'm so sorry for the error. Should I send the return label to this email address? And the customer says, yes, that's my email address. I'm not trying to pull a fast one on you. I didn't authorize this purchase. I say, no, of course not. It was clearly our fault. We'll issue you a refund. You'll see the return label in your inbox shortly. And the caller says, you should listen back to the recording. You can clearly hear I say that I changed my mind. And I say, yes. Well, it's fine. We don't need to listen to the recording. We made a mistake, and for that, I apologize. Refund's already in the work, and you'll see the return label shortly. And they're still aggressive. I don't understand. And they pause, and they say, is that it? I say, yes. So sorry for the hassle. And the caller says, oh. Well, I'm still not done being upset. And they hang up.
Oh, man. Some people just gotta have something to be pissed off about.
They really do. And I feel like this is very much a theme in a lot of these stories that we get. It's just people like, they're having a bad day and they're looking to take it out on the person who picks up the phone.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah.
Maybe not consciously, but they just feel like yelling at somebody.
Right.
And when they don't get the fight they want.
Right. Then it just irritates them even more.
Those are the people that I truly feel sorry for their spouses.
Yeah.
Because those are the spouses that are just like, even if I say, honey, it's okay. Like, I'm sorry, it's my fault. I'll fix it. They're still yelling at them.
That's totally me sometimes. I won't lie.
You're the person yelling at Mike, or Mike's yelling at you?
Oh, sometimes it's me. Sometimes, you just got to fight to a certain extent. And when that extent isn't met, it just like irritates you even more. And then you got to find something else to bitch about.
I can see that. George will do it but George and I have worked out like a system where eventually I'm like, honey, I heard you. You don't need to tell me again. And I literally keep it that simple. And he's like, okay, now I need to stop.
Rein it in.
And like, it's like a trigger.
Yeah.
Like TJ's teacher this week was like, he's just been in TJ land. I'm like, yeah, I know. He has been. I'm like, look, call him Tucker. Because he's just not used to it. And it snaps him. Nobody calls him Tucker except his grandparents.
Right.
We all call him TJ. So when he hears Tucker, he's like, oh, something is happening and I need to pay attention. What is it? Like it snaps him out of TJ world. With George, it's, honey, I heard you. I'm sorry. I'm going to fix it. And he's like, okay.
Nice.
It's like a safe word. That's our safe word.
Yeah. I told the kids the other day because they were wrestling around with each other and just not listening to each other. So I was like, y'all need to come up with a safe word. They're like, what's a safe word? And I was like, it's the word that you use to get somebody's attention when you want them to stop doing something to you. And I was like, and it could be any word, just as long as that word is understood by both parties, that when that word is spoken, no questions asked, you stop immediately.
What's funny about that is, when they get older, they're going to use that word wrong. They're going to say in public, like, we need a safe word. And everybody's going to be like,
God, I've doomed my kids to humiliation all through their lives.
Oh, believe me. Believe me. There are things, because my mom is so old-fashioned that I know old-fashioned terms.
Yeah.
That even people older than me are like, why do you know that term?
Like what?
Like getting your husband degree. That's a term.
What does it mean?
It means it was... Back in the day, when women started going into the workforce and especially going to college.
Yeah.
Okay. They were encouraged. I'm not saying that they did this consciously, but they were encouraged to go to college, not to get a degree, but to get a husband. To meet a man who would have a college degree, who had prospects for an amazing career.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they called it getting your husband degree.
Okay.
My mom used to, when we were little, she'd be like, okay, you need to make sure that you're cleaning real well. Like when we take baths or showers or whatever. And she'd be like, you don't want people calling you Rosie Rotten Crotch.
Rosie Rotten Crotch.
Anyway, this is actually from the UK.
Ooh.
And it says, I have to call a U.S. customer service number to resolve an issue. And clerk 1 answers the phone and does his spiel in English. And I say, hi, my name is blank. I'm calling from the UK. Somebody used my email to make an account and I want it removed. And clerk 1 says, I have to transfer you to somebody who will be able to speak your language. I'm really confused. But I'm also very British. So I say, okay. I get transferred. I'm on hold for about 20 seconds, and I get clerk 2, who does presumably the same spiel, but in Spanish. They transferred him to the Spanish queue. And I say, I'm really sorry, but I'm pretty much the only thing I can say is hello and goodbye in Spanish. And the second clerk says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. He said you were from Spain." Apparently he did a warm transfer and said, "This person's from Spain. I need you to talk to them." And I said, "Okay.
Oh.
Great." And I said, "I told him I was from the UK." And the clerk, in audible pain, said, "That's not Spain. How can you mess those two up? Whatever. How can I help you?" And he resolved my issue.
Nice. Oh, good. Well, at least I didn't get transferred again. Oh, that's ridiculous, from Spain.
Now, I will be 1,000% honest here. I did this once, but I did it once on purpose because the guy was a dick.
Fair enough.
This, definitely not this. The guy was like, I was on the phone with him for just a few minutes, and you know my phone voice. You know, "Thank you for calling. My name is Laura. How can I help you?"
Yeah.
I've got my phone voice down pat, and okay, whatever. But he was like, "Young lady, I'm having considerable trouble with your twang." It's like, "My twang? Could you please transfer me to somebody with a basic grasp of the English language?"
What?
So I said, "Okay," and I transferred over to the Spanish queue. It's like, "Here you go. Have fun, dipshit."
Oh, God.
My
What's your
twang? It's not hee-haw. I'm not like, "Thanks for calling your cell phone company."
I don't really hear that you have a twang at all.
I will have a twang when I want to. You know, I lived for 6 years in Oklahoma, so I can
Right.
slip into it really easily. My alter egos, you know, Savannah Bell, I would do it on purpose with people who were screaming, because for some reason that Southern accent calms people down.
Yeah.
It really does. Just, "Okay, I understand. This is clearly extremely frustrating, and I promise I'm going to help you fix it. I promise." Like, that just tends to bring the temperature down.
Right.
But that was a very intentional accent
Right.
for me. Just normally speaking, I answered the phone and asked him how could I help him. And it was, "Young lady, I'm having considerable trouble with your twang." Okay. And I was so new. This is back at the cell phone company you and I used to work at. And I remember I was quite frankly like 2 weeks out of training when this happened. My first call center gig ever. And I panicked. I just panicked. And I went to my supervisor and I told her I did it as soon as I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get in trouble." So I went to her and I was like, "Look, here's what I did." And she was like, "Okay, don't do that again." But that was really funny. And I remember we had a team meeting like a week or two later. And my supervisor was like, "Can Laura tell everybody what she did?" "You want me to share that?"
Hey.
Okay. She was like, "Yeah, it's funny." And I said it. And I remember one of my teammates, Ryan, was like, "I like your style."
Nice.
I was like, I felt like it was kind of a dick move, but
Hey, well,
whatever.
it could have been worse. You could have, screamed at him and told him to go jump off a bridge.
Pretty much.
There's always worse things.
So this was just pretty funny. This is a quick one. This will be our last one. It says the things we have to put on warning labels.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "Hey ladies, love the show. Can't wait for you guys to get back to reading listener emails, but I am loving the Theranos content. Read this at your convenience. Love your faces and smooches." And they say, "I've been diagnosed with a urinary tract infection, so I'm taking an antibiotic as well as pills to lessen the discomfort when urinating. I carefully read every word on the package as I've never taken this before. This particular medication turns your urine bright orange, which the package sweetly says will permanently stain clothes, washcloths, rugs, wood floors, and contact lenses."
What? God. Ew.
I am not sure who peed in their contact lenses and permanently stained them, but I felt the need to share as soon as I saw. Enjoy. Love you, ladies.
Oh my goodness. Contact lenses. There's only a few scenarios that are going through my head right now where somebody's face would be that close to, possibly get some urine in their eyeballs.
I didn't even think of...
Which hopefully if you have a UTI and you're taking meds for it, you would be nope, not today. Not today. Thank you, though.
Any lady who's listening is like, "I'm not doing anything during a UTI situation."
Right?
And if you have, please let me know why.
Like, I can't think of any other reason why or how somebody would get.
See, I didn't even think of that. I was just like, why? Because my brain just went to, did you put the pee in the little, little contact lens holder thing? I don't wear contacts, so I don't know what they're called. The little thing that you keep on the counter with your contacts in the solution. Why? Right, that was all I thought of. I didn't think about anything else.
I can't think of any other scenario how you could possibly get any kind of fluid from that region on a contact lens. Because it would be a pretty big coincidence to have, your contact fall out of your eye, on the floor, and then you just pee on it. Ooh, maybe that's how the wood floor and the contact lens got stained.
Maybe. But I am dying to know if it permanently stains the contact lens and you put the contact lens in.
No! To know that it was stained?
I wonder how you look. Orange. If I ever see somebody with orange eyes, I'm gonna be like, I know how you got those.
Right? That's beyond jaundice.
Like, I know. Don't think you're being sly.
It's so gross.
I see you. You can't see me because your contact lenses are stained and you can't see me through the orange haze, but I see you.
Oh, God, that's so gross.
All right, so those are just a couple of quick little stories. Like we said, we're going to be trying to get together to do this deep dive as soon as Tanya is available. But keep sending those stories to qasincucumber@yahoo.com. So until next time, I'm Lara Mack.
I'm Jessica James.
Love your faces.
Keep it sane.
Like what you hear? Rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcasting platform. And follow us on our Facebook page by searching Q as in Cucumber. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram by searching QAIC_Lara, LARA, and QAIC_Tanya, TANYA. Don't forget to check out our other show, hosted by me and Jessica James, called The Parent Memoirs. And we want to hear from you. Share your stories by emailing us at qasincucumber@yahoo.com, and you might just hear your stories on a future episode. Love your faces.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.